Welcome to Living Life in the End for the Successful and Fulfilled Woman. I am your host, Dr. Stephanie D. Barnes, the Liberated Lawyer. I help women to get everything they desire in life by equipping them with powerful strategies to achieve the fulfillment they desire and deserve. Who said you can't have it all? Clearly, they did not know about living life in the end. When women make powerful decisions and create great strategies, they can have everything they desire in life. Girlfriend, forget about choosing between being successful or fulfilled. You can be successful and fulfilled. It's time. It's time for you to get everything you desire and deserve. It's time for you to live your life on purpose. It's time for you to live a life that is fulfilled, meaningful, and full of joy. It's time for you to walk boldly in the power of your decisions. If you are going to be in this world, you need to be fulfilled in this life. Life is too long to be unfulfilled. Join me for another episode of Living Life in the End, where you learn how to live fulfilled, fit, and free. Hey, it's time. It's time for Musing from the Mind of Dr. SDB, where I share provocative thoughts to help you live your life in the end. Girl, I've got something on my mind. You know, in psychology, there's this term called agency, and it refers to an individual's capacity to act independently and influence their own lives and the environment. It encompasses the feeling of being in control of your own actions and your decisions. This concept also includes the ability to initiate, direct, and be responsible for one's behavior. And you've heard me say more times than one that our life is a product of our choices. And I believe our fulfillment is the product of our agency. Let me just share a little bit more about what this whole agency thing means. You can have a sense of agency. This is where you feel that you are the cause of your own actions and experience. It's the feeling that you are the driver of your own life rather than being passively carried along by what other people say or do or external forces. Then there is, your personal agency, where this is your actual ability to act independently and effectively in achieving your goals and influencing your own life. It involves, as a key component, the belief in your own competency and the belief that you are actually able to make a difference. Then there is agency as a process. So it's not just a feeling or a static state, but it's also a dynamic process where you actively shape your life through intentional actions and decisions. And so this is where planning and implementing and adapting to changing stances comes into place. And our agency is also a component of resilience because when life happens, and we know that life will life, and if you have ever, or if you've been listening, then you know that one of the important components of life is this concept that I've branded disruptive elevation, where life doesn't go as planned, but goes exactly as it should. When we are able to elevate that disruption in a way that changes our lives in a positive manner, we are exercising agency. Agency is often associated with greater resilience and the ability to cope and with challenges effectively because you believe you can influence your own life, you believe you have the ability to make a difference in your own life, and thus you do. So, people with a high degree of agency are more likely to actively engage in their lives and engage and confront their problems head on rather than passively allowing their problems to overcome their life. So, it's important for us to exercise agency. So, what I want to talk about in this episode is how the gift of agency is for the grown and sexy. And the grown and sexy, that's us, that's grown women. And our agency can be indeed a gift when we exercise it in three very important areas. So, the first thing that I encourage every grown and sexy woman to do is to give yourself the gift of agency. You are a grown ass woman. Everything you desire lies in the power of your choices. So, how can you give yourself agency in your own life? Well, if you are aware of the living life in the end system, and of course, living life in the end is using the power of our choices to create the life we desire and deserve, and is built on a system that actually is based on the concept of agency. So, I'll just give you a quick recap of what the living life in the and system is. At the foundation is beliefs, your mindset, which governs your actions, your behaviors, and your outcomes. So that's at the bottom, agency, believing. Um, the next level are the people in your life. And we're going to talk about agency as it relates to other people in more detail before I get through with this musing. But we live in a world that is built on relationships. And we have to exercise agency even in cultivating our relationships and engaging relationships that are helpful to us and engaging the help of others. Then there is your systems, how this is the plan, this is how you put your agency into action. Your systems, your plans, everything that we do is based on a system. Most of the time, these systems are unconscious systems, but if you really distill how you create the magic in your life, how you create excellence in your life, it's built on a system. Excellence is derived from doing things in a certain way, in a certain order to produce a certain outcome. Then you have your motivation, determination. This is where resilience comes into play. But this is how you remain big mad instead of just being little mad when things don't go as planned. And little mad is our emotional response. Big mad is exercising agency to develop coping mechanisms that allow us to remain motivated and determined in the face of challenges. And then at the top of the living life in the end system is your beckoning light, your why. What is the purpose of your existence? What is the purpose and vision for your life? Why is agency important for you? So, when you give yourself the gift of agency, you give yourself power. You give yourself the ability to act independently and create the life you desire and deserve. And so you create this influence that enables you to act in a certain way that is consistent and in alignment with your goals and achievements or desired achievements. And you also have the ability to influence the environment around you. And that is either through influencing other people or creating change that has the ability to change the environment. And so it's really important that we give ourselves the gift of agency. And it's really not just a gift, it is power. Your power to create the life you desire and deserve lies in your choices. And your choices are fueled by knowing and stepping into this agency over your life because it is your life. And I've said this in so many different instances to remind us that as we are existing in the world, we are creating a life for ourselves. And it is our life. And certainly, we are going to be influenced by what we've learned from our parents, by what we've learned from our community, what we've learned from our peers, what we've learned from our friends. There are all of these different influences that have the ability to shape our lives. But when we exercise agency, we take the power over our lives in our own hands and we create a life that is meaningful and fulfilling to us. So today is the day to give yourself the gift of agency. Give yourself the ability to effectuate the change you desire because I was looking at something on Facebook earlier this week and someone had made a post about no one's coming to save you. And that's true in so many respects. Agency is responsible or is required, I'll say it like that. Agency is an essential component of saving of any kind, any type of saving activity, because either you've got to save yourself or you've got to extend your hand to receive the help that is coming to save you. So, regardless of where and how you are transforming your life, how you're changing, whatever the change is that's needed, you've got to act. Even if someone is extending you their hand to help you, you have to extend your hand back to receive and accept that help. That's agency. Because far too often we take a passive role in our own lives and we allow ourselves to think that we have to do things this way because that's what is expected of us. And these expectations come from our family, it comes from our professional relationships, our jobs, our communities, society, culture. All of these different things set up expectations. But the truth is, we have the ability to decide for ourselves how we are going to allow these influences to impact our life or not. So rather than thinking, this is the hand I've been dealt, ah, this is the relationship I'm in, this is the job I have, this is what's required me, whatever it is, rather than succumbing to this belief that you have no control over your life, it is important to embrace the power of agency. And here's one thing that I want you to remember that regardless of what is going on in your life, and this is not a trivial statement, this is not diminishing anything you're facing, but you're always in control. You are always in control. Even when you are having to process and respond to or otherwise deal with someone else's choices. You need something from someone and they won't give it. You may think, well, because they won't give me the thing, or because they don't agree with me, or because we can't reach a resolution, I don't have a choice. No, You do. You always have a choice because you always have agency. And even though the other person's actions, behaviors, choices, whatever are impacting you, you still have the power of choice. And sometimes that means you have to make difficult choices. And that certainly does not ignore the fact that the alternative to succumbing to this other person's or other external, I'll just say external forces, you know, can be difficult. It can cause you financial harm. It can cause you financial difficulty. It can cause you peace difficulty. It can cause you just disruption. Whatever it is, you still have a choice because at the heart of what you are facing is a choice about your life. And it is important to make decisions about the quality of life you desire. Make decisions about what fulfillment means to you. Make decisions about what is the line in the sand that you are willing to draw in order to have peace and joy and fulfillment in your life. So if you need something from someone else and they won't give it to you, you need or would like a promotion and it's not being granted, you need more money and you can't figure out a way to do it yet. Whatever it is that you need that you think lies in the control of somebody else, ultimately you are in control of and you have the ability to exercise agency for yourself. And so when you realize that you have agency, it empowers you to make decisions to create the life you desire and deserve. Everything you desire lies in the power of your choices. Everything you desire is on the other side of exercising agency. And so it's time for you to give yourself the gift of agency. I mentioned early on that agency is also important in your relationships with others, whether it is a personal relationship or a professional relationship. It is important to give others the gift of agency. Because the truth is, you can't tell other grown people what to do, even if they work for you, even if they report to you, even if they're your grown children, especially if they're your parents. you know, when we get grown, our parents get growner and we can't get them to do what we need them to do either. But, you can give people the gift of agency. And this is a leadership style as much as it is a way of exercising influence. And when I work with people, I'm not a micromanager. I can't stand micromanaging other grown people. That's one reason I'm not the best teacher in terms of dealing with like kids. And even with my own children, I gave them a lot of agency or crafted the ability for them to develop agency for themselves. It's I believe in it. It's kind of like the concept of if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, you teach a man to fish, you feed him for life. Agency is gifting people the ability to make decisions for themselves. And so if you're leading a team, it's important to give them agency. That's the only way that they will grow. Because if you give them directions instead of direction, you may as well do it yourself. And directions is where you say, do this, then do that, then do this, then do that. And that, you basically plan the whole thing for them. And they'll learn from that. But what I have found just from a leadership perspective, that I've had far better outcomes where I give direction. I state my vision, I give parameters, I give options from which they can choose and add to themselves, that I have a far better outcome than if I planned it and executed it entirely by myself. So giving other people agency helps them to grow as well. And here's the best gift of agency, giving agency to other people, is that you get to see who they really are. You get to see who they really are. Because some people, when you give them agency, they take that to heart and they grow and they partner with you, if you will, or collaborate with you in creating something that is mutually beneficial. But some people, when you give them agency, they use that as an opportunity to not do what they are expected to do. And it's important to give the person with whom you're in a relationship, whether that's personal or professional, give them agency so you can see who they really are and see what really motivates them, see what they're truly capable of, and see how in alignment or not they are with you and what is best for you. And an example of that is, if you tell somebody, this is a great statement. I'm going to use this example. I love this. Iyanla Vanzant made a statement. I can't recall if this was in her Fix My Life, in Iyanla Vanzant Fix My Life series or some other context, but she talked about the fact that you can't tell other people how to love you. You can let them love you and decide if that works for you and if that fulfills you and if that is good for you. And I love that analogy because, each of us has a certain desire for how we want to be loved. What makes us feel whole, what makes us feel good, what we need, what completes us, what makes us feel secure, etc. But the truth is you can't make anybody love you. You can't. And you definitely can't make them love you exactly the way you want to be loved. And the key word here is make them. You can express your desires. You can express your expectations. You can express what works for you and what doesn't. And then you've got to give them the choice of whether or not they can fulfill that expectation. And that's agency in a relationship. In a professional context, if you have people who report to you, whether it is a formal work relationship or a volunteer relationship, you can give them the vision and direction for what it is you desire. You can give them the resources and you can tell them what the expected outcome is. And then they get the choice of whether they're going to perform with mediocrity or perform with excellence. You give them agency, and then you are empowered with a choice. This is going to be tolerated, or this is something that I can't tolerate, and I'm going to sever the relationship or reassign them or whatever the case may be. But agency is a gift in two directions. It's a bidirectional gift. It's a gift to the person to allow them to grow and express themselves and to exercise the power of their own choices. But it is also a revelatory, I'll say it like that, a revelatory gift in that it reveals to you who they are and who they're not. It reveals to you what they're capable of and what they're not. It reveals to you who they really are. And you get to make a decision about whether or not how they've expressed agency is compatible with your ideals, with your beliefs, with your desires, with your expectations, and with your needs. So, agency is a gift that allows you to grow other people and to have real authentic relationships, because their actions are indeed their actions, and they're not just doing what you've told them to do or doing it because you want them to do it. They are doing it because it's something that they truly desire to do. And whether or not what they desire and what you desire aligns is to be determined, but at least in that instance, you have authenticity in knowing what to expect and what you can then do to either further the relationship or allow it to transition to something else. So, agency is a gift for the grown and sexy. It is a gift for the woman who desires to be successful and fulfilled. It is a gift for a woman who wants to live life in the end. And it is a gift for the woman who wants to have authentic relationships with herself and with others. Agency is power and knowledge at the same time. It's the power to exercise self regulation, self motivation, self, um, it's the power to exercise your own choices, and it's the knowledge of knowing who you really are and who the other people in your relationships are, so that you can make better choices. Agency ultimately leads to better choices. When you exercise agency, you exercise the power of your choices to create the life you desire and deserve. Well, that's all I have to say about that. Thank you. Thank you for joining me for another musing from the mind of Dr. SDB, where I share provocative thoughts that help you live your life in the end. I hope you learned something. I hope you felt something. But girl, most of all, I hope you do something. Fulfillment won't happen because you desire it. Fulfillment will happen because you decide to go get it. Let's get it. This episode was brought to you by the Successful and Fulfilled Woman New You Transformation, a VIP day for the high achieving woman who is ready to be successful and fulfilled. If you are a woman who feels burned out and uninspired, or you are a woman ready to start over after a divorce, death, or other disruption, or you are a mother whose children are ready to leave the nest or are already gone, and you are now ready to create a meaningful life for yourself, or you are a woman who's approaching your golden years and you want the next half to be the best half, or you are a woman who's ready to get more out of life and ready to stop marking time and start living life, then we need to have a revelation conversation. Go to www.everythingideserve.com to schedule your complimentary revelation conversation, where together we will talk about where you are now and where you want to be, and begin to develop a plan to get you where you desire to be. You will leave your revelation conversation understanding the first thing that you can start doing today to begin living a successful and fulfilled life. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Living Life in the End for the Successful and Fulfilled Woman. Please be sure to let me know what made you feel something, what you learned, and what moved you to action. Please subscribe so you don't miss out on a great conversation. And don't forget to rate and review the podcast and let me know how you are living life in the end. Life is too long to be unfulfilled. Don't keep all this goodness to yourself. Tell someone else to listen for themselves. We should all be fulfilled. Remember, your life is the product of your choices. Choose to commit to bringing the desires of your heart to completion. You don't get what you deserve until you get what you decide. Life is too long to be unfulfilled.